What's up, everybody? Dan here, and this is For Your Mental Health Weekly. Well, it's kind of weekly. I mean, it hasn't been weekly for like a couple months because it's mental health issues, like it's so appropriate, the fact that I haven't been able to do it every week because, I've been dealing with stuff and it's hard to kind of get things done all the time. But the spirit of it's still there, so I want to keep the name for now. But this is another special episode with a special guest for episode 14. We're talking to my friend Valerie Romack right here. So what's up, Val?
Hi.
Val is in the building. We should probably start by talking about how we met, how we know each other, and it's through, once again, cosplay. I think every person I've interviewed so far has been like a fellow cosplayer. So why don't you go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
About cosplay or
Well,
how we met? Because I don't remember the exact moment that we met.
Okay.
But...
Okay. So, all right. So I'll start it then. So I think it was at Anime Central where it was the Tekken photo shoot, and you were dressed as what's her name, Anita Boskonovich with the chainsaws. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name. Anissa, something.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's the first time I ever actually interacting with you. But then we didn't really become like friends until the costumers with the cause, I think, the parade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you popped up at various events of that, and we're always videotaping the shenanigans behind the scenes. You were the behind the scenes revealer. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, those were definitely good times. Obviously right now we can't really do much of that because of the whole pandemic stuff. But I was looking back at the pictures, and it's just like, there's so many great times. The St. Patrick's Day parade too. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was always so cold. So cold in Chicago at St. Patrick's Day in March. Oh my gosh, how did we even survive?
Yeah. Yeah,
all
exactly.
For cosplay.
Right. Just troopers, we'll battle the wind, the rain, the cold. It's all for the greater good of cosplay. So,
and the heels, the wind, the rain, and the heels.
Yeah, constant foot pain. Yeah, for sure. And more power to people that wear heels. I mean, I don't know if I wore like platforms before, but it wasn't really heels, so I don't know if that counts. But yeah, definitely some mind over matter moments going through those parades and conventions and everything. So, war stories, right? Yeah, absolutely. So yes. So the reason I've brought you onto the show is, I wanted you to share your story, and I wanted you to share your experience with your own mental health in regards to anxiety, depression, whatever you've been going through in your life, in hopes that it would help others. So, why don't you go ahead? If you can start wherever you want, however you want to, start your story, you can go wherever you want with it. So go ahead.
Okay, well, there's not really a great place to start, so I'll kind of start with, I've always had struggles with depression since I was a little kid, although when you're a little kid, you don't really realize that's what it is. You just feel sort of not really like it's more than a sadness. It's more like you feel super alone. You feel super out of place. You feel, maybe for a lot of kids, maybe they feel like they're in the wrong body. And that can be a depression sort of thing. It could be something leading to a change of identity and things like that. But in my case, it was sort of this it was definitely the feeling like I didn't belong anywhere, feeling like I didn't understand any of my friends and they didn't understand me, feeling like maybe I didn't deserve things that I had or that I wanted, feeling sort of empty inside, or that there was something missing, but not knowing how to fill it or anything like that. So I struggle with that a lot as a child. And as a child, you don't really know how to communicate your struggles to other children and especially to adults, because either you're afraid or you just don't know the right words to say to express, that sort of mental sickness, which is so much different than saying I have a tummy ache or something like that. It's so much harder to describe that to your parents or to ask for help or to reach out. So I, like many kids, just struggled. There was no way to get help. There was no way to reach out that I knew of. So, and that unfortunately happens a whole lot with children, and it can carry on into adulthood, which did happen with me. So I sort of had a transition of really happy teenagerhood, where I didn't feel that depression as much because there were all these new exciting experiences of being a teenager and liking boys and having classes and having a whole new set of friends and going to the mall and movies and stuff, being a nerd. So there was that whole, it didn't cure the depression, but it distracted from it. So I buried it down deep inside, like a lot of people tend to do when they're going through other things in life that take priority. So I buried it down while I was a teenager and through college. Every once in a while, I would feel in college, I would feel sort of, I would feel that out of placeness, and I would feel, I I guess you would say, lack of knowledge of myself. I guess I felt lost, like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was supposed to be. And that can be a combination, I think, of depression and anxiety, because you feel that depression of, I don't know who I am. And then you feel the panic, the anxiety of, oh crap, who should I be? Like, what should I do? What direction should my life take? Like, I'm almost done with college. Where do I go from here if I don't know who I am? So that was a struggle that I encountered. And I don't know if you've encountered that sometime in your life, or if people you've talked to have as well, but that goes hand in hand with depression and anxiety a lot of times, because sort of a lack of direction, a lack of purpose, not knowing who you are can really be detrimental to your mental health. And or even knowing who you are, but not, or knowing who you want to be, but not being able to get there, like not knowing the steps to take to get there. Like, I want to be a more joyful person. How do I get there? Or I want to be a more successful person. How do I get there? And just feeling that overwhelming sense of, I guess, dread of like, I just can't get where I want to go or where I think that I need to be. So that can lead to a lot of unresolved mental health issues. And it can also stem from trauma that you've experienced in life. So things that, like a really bad breakup or something, that you think, oh, well, that was horrible, but that's like kind of life, whatever. It can be trauma. It can be a trauma that roots itself deep within, and that can, when it's not addressed properly through therapy or through medication or balancing that, balancing your life, that can cause mental health issues, which can cause physical issues, which I've also dealt with. So mental health can often go hand in hand with chronic illness, chronic physical illness. And so depression can make the chronic illness worse, and chronic illness can make the depression worse. And so it's just like you're caught in this cycle that you can't really get out of without help. So I don't know if you wanted me to jump into like coping mechanisms or something, or if you want to talk more about other things.
No, that's a great way to go about it. I think is to start talking about the coping mechanisms that you've used to get yourself onto a more level playing field with your mental health, because there's a lot of things out there that you can do that I have tried, and some of them work, some of them don't, but obviously the things that do work, we hold on to that and we lean into it. It's like if you're somebody who loves to exercise, and that gets you to a better place in your mind, then do that all the time, right? Or if the medication helps, stay on your medication. If that's what you really think you need and that really helps, great. Talk therapy, getting other people to come in and make sure you're doing all right, and whatever you think works the best in your life. So what have you used that's been successful with your depression, with your anxiety?
It has actually depended on where I was in life, because I found different treatments in different stages of life. My cat.
Meow.
Sheesh. You don't get a say in this.
maybe that's an I agree meow. Like, I agree meow.
Yes. Anyway, continuing. It really depends on the different stages in life you are, where you're at, especially when it comes to the physical environment you're in. That can influence how treatments work. Your financial situation, that can influence what treatments are available to you. So for me, therapy was not an option financially, and medication was not an option financially. I did try for a little while CBD oils and CBD products.
Okay.
Which worked for a little while, but it just financially was not sustainable over a long period of time. And the thing about CBD also is it helps to treat physical ailments. So because I had both the physical ailments and the mental health issues, it was working overtime. And so I needed higher and higher doses each time of the CBD. So I would be going through it faster. I would have to have a higher milligram. And it was just getting way too expensive. And I was like, at what point will I be at the highest possible dose and then not have anywhere to go?
Right.
So I had to give that up, unfortunately, because it was really helpful for my anxiety. It's calming, and you can also find that if it's available to you, medical marijuana is good for, or recreational marijuana is good for mental health treatment. It really is. So if you're not able to get the medical marijuana or the recreational, CBD is a good alternative. Some people find that they can't tolerate the THC, so they go to CBD, which doesn't have the THC from the marijuana in it. But other than that, it's basically the same type of products. They have oils, they have edibles, they have things that you can smoke and all that good stuff. So those are good natural treatments if you don't want to go the medication route. It's not available in all states, and CBD can be expensive even though it is available. So it just depends on your financial situation, which treatment will be beneficial. I know it sounds cheesy, but meditation and yoga was helpful. And everyone's like, oh, yoga is a cure for things. Is not. Well, no one's saying it's a cure for that. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm saying that it helps to balance your body after a long day at work, which can be detrimental to mental health, is working a lot.
Absolutely.
Long hours.
Preach it.
Working a hard job. A lot of people are not getting affirmation at their jobs, which can lead to self-doubt, which can lead to depression. So like totally, completely de-stressing after work, whatever that form takes, whether it's yoga, meditation, exercise, like you said, eating a nice warm meal, like it could be taking a bath, anything to just wipe the slate clean after a day of work. And that can really, really help your mental state, and it can help you sleep better.
You've thrown out a lot of stuff that that I've dealt with myself, and I do yoga and meditation every day, every single morning. Like I may sometimes not get the full workout in, but yoga and meditation, like I do it through YouTube. Yoga with Adrienne, like she's my girl. Like she's the person that has a ton of videos, and they're all great. And I do them like every morning. And then mindful meditation, so positive affirmations, like you mentioned, just listening to these phrases and closing your eyes and just laying down and just getting to that state of mind where everything is good, everything's golden. You're one with yourself. And sometimes you do have to deal with your issues, though. Like it's not always butterflies and compromise, as they say. They'll say things that really hit you hard, like rolling out the red carpet for you and your issues, and just be the person you are, and show it to yourself. Like sometimes you have to show yourself, like, hey, this is who I am. I got to deal with this, So no, I've definitely used a lot of that in my life, and it has really helped. The CBD stuff that I want to talk about too, because I've been going to like this local CBD kratom shop by my place. They're like really cool people, and they have all the products you had mentioned. So I have used a little bit of that to varying degrees of success. And I think it was like the Delta 8 something with the THC. Like that's the one thing that actually I felt, because I had smoked marijuana before, so I guess I was used to the high of it. And so a lot of the CBD stuff didn't really do anything, at least that I could tell. So that stuff, it was like in gummy form, like little round gummies, and you eat a couple, and all of a sudden, like 2 hours later, you'd start to feel like this very powerful sensation. And so that's something that has worked as well. But there really are so many things that you can do these days to try to help yourself out, to reach out for help, whether it be talk therapy or just as simple as doing some yoga after work, like you said, or taking a hot bath. It's that self-care,
Yes.
that's super important. But the work stuff too, like when you go to work and people aren't necessarily like giving you the positive feedback. They're just like, well, you're at work and you're doing what I'm doing, and whatever, I'm sure you're doing a good job, I don't have to say anything. Like, no, like I think in this day and age we need to hear like those positive feedback phrases and words of encouragement. It's just if anything, it's just a nice thing to do. It's just nice to be nice to people, if not for your, for the whole world's mental health, at least for the kindness of to your friends, to your coworkers. So yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's big as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's like officially a mental illness, but imposter syndrome is real. It is so real, and it is often experienced by people who have difficult jobs where they aren't getting positive feedback or any feedback at all, or they're getting put down at work, they're getting thrown under the bus in front of their peers, that kind of thing. So they feel that unworthiness and they take that home with them, and they experience it for the rest of their lives sometimes as sort of like, and they feel like an imposter.
Okay, I've never heard
Basically,
that
you haven't
before.
heard imposter syndrome? Okay,
No.
it's basically you are a perfectly good human being, you do perfectly good work, um, but you have this sense that you don't belong there, that you don't deserve it, that you, like, at any moment it could just disappear. And somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm not explaining it properly, because I don't personally have imposter syndrome, but I know a lot of friends who do. And it can just be detrimental when it comes to your career and your livelihood at that job, because you feel like you don't deserve to be there, that you don't belong, even though you've worked your ass off. You've
Mm-hmm.
done all the steps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You work so hard every day. Um, it's just like it's really um, it's really a barrier in the mind of um, just thinking that undeservedness of
Mm-hmm.
you don't deserve this, or you don't deserve nice things.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, it's I believe that it's a mental illness, and that it affects a lot of people more than they even know, probably. um
Mm-hmm.
so I hope someone will maybe explain it better in the comments, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That would be great. Yeah, no, but that makes a lot of sense. People getting into the careers that they want to get into, and thinking that they haven't put in enough work, that they're not worthy. I think is that what you said, that they weren't worthy for their position, something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's yeah, I could totally see that happening. I used to work at an escape room for a couple of years actually, and it was a cushy job. I mean, I was me and like I was kind of the only person there. Um, and there were times where there's just nothing going on. I'm still getting paid the same amount. I'm like, huh, I'm getting all this like money, but am I really doing anything for it? I'm sitting here watching YouTube and not really, making big strides like maybe somebody else would for the same amount. I mean, then again, I did earn it when we were really busy, but that wasn't all the time. That was mostly on the weekends. So I guess I did feel a little bit of that, for that position. But yeah, yeah, I think that's an issue too. People don't put enough stock in themselves. They're like, well, I didn't deserve this. I just got this job because there was an opening and they happened to hire me and whatever. I just fell into it. Like no, like I'm sure there was probably a reason that they hired you in the first place. Otherwise, they would have hired anybody. They would have hired the bum off the street. It's like you have something in you that gives you that position, that situation, that opportunity, right? Like we all have the things that we've done in our lives that make us who we are, right? And people see that. People see the work that you do, even though you can't see it because you're the one doing the work. Like I feel that a lot
Mhm.
sometimes. Because like I'm doing all this stuff, and sometimes I don't even realize that I'm making an impact on someone. You know, but just by the fact that you're a good person, that you're nice to people, that you get your job done, like that has an effect. That has a ripple effect for sure. People kind of are encouraged and inspired by that. So yeah, yeah, I think people could benefit from just knowing that what they're doing matters. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that comes from like a larger conversation of sort of the the standards that society has put on us and that the older generations have put on our generation, in that we are obsessed with, did we earn this, or can we earn this, or that kind of thing, like earning your place, earning the things that you have and stuff. They put so much pressure on us to fight for what should be like basic, like earning a place to live, earning food for your table, earning money for college. Like,
yeah, that does speak. Yeah, exactly. That does speak to a larger issue of like a sustainable workplace and having people who have not a starvation wage but a living wage, and that should be built into society. Absolutely, absolutely. People shouldn't be on the streets. That's just no. That's not how this country should be. So, but that does speak to a larger conversation, I suppose. So yeah, so you've faced a lot of medical issues recently. I know I've seen a lot of your posts on Facebook, and you had mentioned like that kind of goes hand in hand with the depression and anxiety. How do you feel like specifically that your medical ailments have contributed to that, and how do you think that they've affected the way you've gone about treating it?
That's a really good question. In my case, it's been, and in a lot of cases where it's an invisible illness, where you're not outwardly, physically affected, deformed, paralyzed, anything like that. When it's all inside and you look like you're fine, it can cause this sort of body dysmorphia where you inside your body you feel like it's betraying you, it's sort of, well, in my case literally it's attacking me because I have autoimmune disorder. So my own body is attacking me. Sometimes I feel like a stranger in my own body because it's so foreign to me. It feels like it's not doing what it should be doing. It's not doing what I want it to do. It's not functioning properly. So I feel like I'm, I guess not a stranger, but more like a prisoner. I'm a prisoner in my own body. And I'm having to do what it wants me to do. And sometimes that's canceling plans. It's not going to work when I don't feel well. And it's not just, oh, I have the sniffles or something. It's like, cannot walk, don't feel well, can barely see because of the pain, can barely function, can't eat, that kind of thing. So I've had to cancel plans. I've had to cancel really fun things that I wanted to do. And so it really makes me feel like I'm held prisoner in my own body, which can be so bad for mental health because you feel betrayed by your physical body and you feel trapped and you feel angry and sad and you feel alone because a lot of times there aren't people you can talk to about it. Most of the people closest to me I can talk to about it, but at the same time they don't have what I have, so they don't exactly understand. Yeah. But they try, which is great, and that's not always the case with a lot of people who suffer from chronic illness. They don't always have supportive families like I do. They don't always have supportive friends like I do. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm completely and totally blessed to have that in my life. And truthfully, I have lost a few friends because of this. And that can also be, it can also cause some depression because you feel like you're not worthy because people have left your life because you feel like a burden. So, well, you think that you are a burden to them and that's why they left, even though maybe they left because they just weren't meant to be in your life, or something happened they just
Something they
couldn't
were dealing
handle.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, something they were dealing with, or they just couldn't handle your evolving needs, which is really sad, but it
Yeah.
means that they don't belong in your life. If they can't evolve with you and change with you and be there for you, then forget about them. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's,
that is so hard sometimes, because I've dealt with the same thing, like I had to, leave out of certain friend groups, because, I was dealing with stuff myself, and not everybody saw it in a helpful light, I guess. They don't understand. They don't get it. They don't understand how this is like a debilitating thing: mental health, depression, anxiety. Like, you have to take a step back from everything and be like, whoa, like, I don't want to die. I don't want to like get in a position where like I'm, gonna really hurt myself or something. Like, I have to take care of this. Like, I don't care if you don't understand. Like, I need to do my thing. And so, that's something that I think a lot of people, do have to deal with, for sure, is losing friends, and, getting into different social circles and finding people that actually do understand and do want to help and want to make sure you're doing okay. Like, that's so huge. So I'm really glad you have that in your life.
yeah. And it also goes back to what we were talking about earlier about self-care, where self-care is not only physical care of your body and sort of that physical stimulation of your mind, but it's also emotional. It's also taking care of yourself emotionally, being there for yourself, recognizing your own needs in an emotional situation. And it can be really hard, but sometimes self-care is about removing toxic people from your life. If you're having conversations where you're being gaslighted by your friends, obviously have a conversation with them, but if they're not going to correct it, if they're not going to acknowledge it, that it's a problem, if they're not going to um, change, if they're just going to continue gaslighting you, you need to get rid of them. You need to just walk away from that situation. You can say, I love you, but I'm going to love you from over here.
Yeah.
And like, you just can't continue on with that, because then those people become a mental and emotional burden to you when you've already got this whole thing that you're dealing with physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, you don't need that extra weight on your shoulders when you're going through panic attacks, when you're going through suicidal thoughts, anything that goes along with mental health, just all of that self-doubt. You don't need to add that other person's problems onto yours. So just removing yourself from that situation, even if it's temporary, but most of the time it ends up being permanent, because then once you get past the hurt of losing that person, even if they were really important to you, sometimes you realize that, you know what, I'm better now. Like, I'm better without them. It was great. We had good times.
Yeah.
I'll always have a space in my heart for that person, but it's a very small space, and it's not going to take up any more of my time, any of my mental energy on that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in the end, I mean, you have to do it for yourself. You have to make the choice to be like, I'm worth it. I'm worth being alive, and I'm worth, doing things for myself, and not just
Mhm.
being one with the crowd and going along with what everyone else is doing because it's the popular thing to do, right? Like it's no like that those things can be hard because we want to be popular, we want to be social. I mean, maybe not
Yeah.
everybody does. Some people want to, just be more introverted and whatnot. But for people like us, people who like to go to conventions or into cosplay, into being around people, and sharing interests,
Mhm.
like it gets hard. It gets hard to remove folks out of your life because that's not something I really had to do for the longest time. Because I didn't really necessarily have to. Like I thought everything was going just fine, and then once I started dealing with or finding that I had to deal with these issues that are going on inside of me, I'm like, oh well, I see kind of what's happening, and I see these people that I really shouldn't have maybe so close. So I think that's a really good point on your end for sure. Is there anything else that you want to touch on as far as like how you've gone about treating your depression and anxiety? Like, have you gone to talk therapy? Have you had a routine that you've kind of found yourself fitting into that's really helped you stay stable mentally?
I think it was the most eye-opening about, um, I guess, finding the right treatment during the original lockdown when the pandemic started last year. And I think it was a really difficult time for a lot of us who suffer from mental illness, because of the isolation and, um, sort of being alone with your thoughts and yourself. And
Yeah.
it was really a struggle at that time. And um, I was really afraid that I would fall back on, that extreme loneliness, that extreme emptiness, in my time alone. And uh, I actually found that that did not happen because I decided to sort of find joy in small things, like
Mm-hmm.
picking up a new hobby. And a lot of people did that when they were
Right.
isolated. They picked up a new hobby, or
Mm-hmm.
they started a small, daily routine that was maybe like, oh, I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk every morning or something like that. Obviously, a lot of people couldn't go outside, but if you were sort of in the country or the suburbs or something, it was probably more available to you. But
Right. Right.
um, things like, some people picked up juggling, some people picked up fencing, like indoor fencing
Yeah.
by
Yeah. Why
yourself,
not?
and a
You can
jump
order
rope.
anything.
And
Yeah, order anything off the internet, right? Fencing swords, jump ropes, violins. I
yeah,
mean, you can order anything you want. Yeah.
yeah, for me, it was, I did a little bit of reading, which I hadn't done reading for fun. I know that sounds silly because like everybody reads, but I did reading for fun for the first time in years and years because I was an editor for a long time. So I read for a living and I didn't want to do it when I got home from work. So I did some reading. I did some playing around with costume makeup. I
Okay.
did, um, I watched some TV shows that I never got to finish, like back in high school or something. Veronica Mars.
Oh yeah,
Um,
sure, sure. Kristen Bell as Veronica Mars.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I took some online classes. I started learning Spanish. We all sort of have this idea of life is supposed to be joyful. You're supposed to have these big, joyful, exciting moments. And I think during the pandemic, we all found that that was no longer possible. It was no longer possible to have a big, fun birthday party. It was no longer possible to have a big, fun vacation. you couldn't have these giant moments of prolonged happiness. But what you could have, and what you could find even alone in your apartment, was little bits of happiness that you could find in things that you wouldn't normally find them, or you wouldn't normally notice them, because everybody was so busy in life before the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic
Mm-hmm.
slowed us all to a stop, that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't notice how much we like iced tea and sandwiches, like
Right.
how much we like uh meowing at our cat, like having a
Yeah.
conversation with an animal.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
much we
Just.
like that one specific piece of clothing, and we just put it on and know where to go. Who cares? Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
happy, or
Mm-hmm.
even in that little moment. And just finding the joy in the little things was something that we all encountered, and it's something that kept me afloat. Um, and it kept me fighting. So I was able to continue on and to find my strength, because I had just little things that comforted me and that kept me going.
Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. That was so good. What you just said right there, that whole speech you just gave, magnifique, magnifique. I couldn't agree anymore. Like those little things that you find, just lying around the house, those little talents that you pick up over time, that grows your sort of inner kind of self. It's like not everyone can see it because you're training. You're training to learn a language, you're learning an instrument, or you're juggling, or you're fencing, or you're just enjoying the things around you. Like people can't see that, but you see it. It's something for
Mhm.
you. That's something that you want to do because you want to do it, not because someone's paying you to do it, not because someone else wants you to do it. No, it's because you want to do it. Because it's for you. That's something that's going to grow your inner self so much. And when you're stuck at home all the time, that's so important. To keep your spirits up, and your interests full, and your passions blooming. Like that's essential. That's so essential. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's really well said. So well done.
Thank you.
um, no problem. No problem. No problem. That's yeah. That might be a good place to end our conversation. I think that was kind of like a highlight right there. I think that's kind of the crux of what we're sort of getting at. Is like finding your inner strength, your inner peace, your inner self, and exploring that. And just really diving in and seeing what you're really like. When you put all the distractions of the everyday life aside, you know, maybe you're actually into music, maybe you're actually into reading, maybe you're into like making cosplays or cosplay makeup. It's like there's all these things that all of a sudden your mind can focus on that gives you new avenues and new possible opportunities and possibilities. So it's a great way for personal growth, and I think we all could use some lessons in that for sure.
Right. And I do want to add that um, all of those things sound like I was talking about earlier, like distractions, like it would distract you from your mental illness. But if you turn it into less of a distraction and more of a healing process, more of a non-traditional treatment,
Mm-hmm.
those things become less about suppressing your mental illness and your struggles, and more like focusing them on something else, or um, finding that purpose that you didn't have before. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not really about um, going from thing to thing to just keep your mind off of it. It's about finding those things that can build you up and uh, help you start to heal.
Yeah, yeah. Once again, really well said, because that's something I've dealt with personally. Like, I was going through some dark times, and I decided, hey, why not try to get into wrestling? Like, I've always enjoyed professional wrestling from afar. And it's like, well, I'm stuck at home all the time. Why don't I start training? You know, start working out like every day, weight training, and get some type of goal, to put out there and strive for it, right? And it's worked wonders. Like I haven't really felt, too bad in a while, which is awesome. I feel really really proud about that, and it's because I put so much effort to myself, into making sure that I'm okay, and that I have something to look forward to, when everything does clear up. So yeah, once again, I think you're hitting it right on the head for sure. So that's gonna do it for our little interview. Thank you so much, Val. You've been amazing. We've had a great chat today. Much love to you and to everyone in your life that supports you, because that's a really awesome thing to have. Absolutely.
Thank you. This was awesome. You're a great host.
Well, thank you very much. So yeah, for you all out there, leave your comments below. If you like what you've seen, maybe you can suggest other guests that you want to see come on to the show. Or I think with the imposter syndrome, you could explain some of that, as Val was talking about. We could have a little discussion in the comments, see what you guys think. But thank you so much for watching, and as always, follow your instincts, and LYF, love yourself first. Peace out, y'all. Sayonara. Record, and I believe we are recording right now. So let me do my
action.
And action. All right, so I'm gonna do my little spiel at the beginning here. Hooray! Interview complete.